It's a Friday, folks. Am I crazy to think the Lions can win 3 in a row? Let's discuss on a Friday at Locked On Lions.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we welcome everybody to a Friday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Matt Dery with you on a Friday, November 18th into Saturday, November 19th. Coming up on Sunday, the Lions will be in New Jersey to take on the Giants. First of two trips for the Lions in this second half of the season to MetLife Stadium. They'll play the Jets later on this year in December. But here we go. Lions and Giants coming up on Sunday. Lions looking to make it 3 straight wins. All of a sudden, they have some life at 3-6, and the Giants are 7-2, riding high, playing well. But everybody agrees, including Las Vegas, that this 7-2 team being at home, taking on the lowly Lions, is not some lock. Our friends at BetOnline have moved the spread from 3.5 down to 3. The Lions are a field goal underdog Sunday in New York. Matt Dery with you. Follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, D-E-R-Y Speaks, at Locked On Lions, or as long as Twitter is alive. Matt Dery Facebook fan page. And also, hello to those of you watching on YouTube, the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Please subscribe and comment whenever you can. We appreciate that and all the positive comments that we've gotten this week. Locked On Lions today, sponsored by SimpliSafe Home Security. With Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe, 24/7 monitoring agents capture evidence to accurately verify a threat for faster police response. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Visit simplisafe.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more. Coming up on the show today, I want to piggyback off of something that Patricia Traina said yesterday from the Locked On Giants podcast. If you missed yesterday's crossover podcast, please check it out. We'll do that. Injury concern with one of the Lions' defensive linemen. We'll get into that. And also the mysterious case of DeAndre Swift. Today, Deuce Staley, who's been piling on Swift since Hard Knocks, made a comment, not even about DeAndre Swift, that I think effectively affects DeAndre Swift's future with the Lions and really kind of highlights some things. We'll get into that today as well, right here on this Friday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. All right, so the Lions are going into New York. For those of you that were under a rock and didn't hear, Ford Field on Sunday is going to host, for the third time due to weather, 2 other teams coming in from out of town. The Buffalo Bills and the Cleveland Browns will play at Ford Field on Sunday. I saw today tickets are ranging between $10 and $30. It hasn't been real clear how the NFL wants to do this. If you recall, I think it was in 2014 when the Bills were here, I think playing the Jets. Tickets were free. But I want to give a shout out to the staff at Ford Field, to many of the workers that probably didn't think they needed to be called this weekend. They thought they were off because there was no event at Ford Field with the Lions on the road. But now many of them are going in on this weekend. The crew at Ford Field this is a tough road to hoe here, to tell people like on Thursday, hey, you're working Sunday, got to get the field ready, got to get all the stuff behind the scenes ready, the locker rooms, all of that. So shout out to the crew at Ford Field for Bills Browns this coming weekend on short notice. And of course for Buffalo, this is a bit of an advantage for them because of 3 to 6 feet of snow supposed to hit Buffalo and already has hit Buffalo with a major storm, that the Bills are going to basically live in Detroit for the next week because they, of course, play the Lions now on Thanksgiving Day. They'll get acclimated to Ford Field. Not that there's some big acclimation to a dome, but regardless, they'll play a game there Sunday against the Browns as the home team. And then, of course, there'll be the road team coming up on Thursday for the annual Thanksgiving Day game. And I'm going to say this now, and I'll probably say it again next week. The haters that are out there, and many of the national folks that will say, why do we have to see the Lions every year? Screw them. This is our Super Bowl. This is our playoffs. This is our holiday, and this is our primetime game every year. All right, the Lions have played every single game at 1 o'clock on Sundays. They haven't gotten a Thursday night game, no Sunday night games, no Saturday games, no nothing, no Monday nights. This is the one time the Lions get to be on in prime time. And yes, the big crew this week, Fox's number one crew, is going to be at the Meadowlands for Lions Giants with Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi. Tom Rinaldi. I'm here on the 17th tee with Tiger Woods. I think Tom Rinaldi's awesome. But come this weekend, or next Thursday, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo will be in for Bills and Lions. It's the national audience getting to see the Lions, and only the Lions, of course, and the Bills this weekend. So don't hate. I don't want to hear about it. It's our big day, and anybody that says they're tired of seeing the Lions, because they're probably going to get whooped by the Bills. But regardless, I don't want to hear that hate. I defend Lions fans and the Lions for that. All right, at this time of recording, and let me do this first. All right, let me get to I don't have the injury report yet at the time of this recording. I'm recording this at 3:35. I'm going to get to some injury news in a second. I think the Lions have a very good chance Sunday. There's a reason Vegas only has this as a 3-point game. And if you watched or listened to the crossover yesterday, you heard Patricia Traina, host of Locked On Giants, say that it doesn't look good for big right tackle and the Giants' number one pick this past year out of Alabama, Evan Neal, to play this Sunday against the Lions. They're going to be going with some backups along the offensive line. This is a big key for Detroit. Huge. Because Saquon Barkley gets the ball a lot. The Giants are ultra conservative on offense. Their ball control. There's not going to be a lot of, 5 wide receivers and Danny Dimes chucking it all over the field. Saquon ran the ball 35 times last week against the Texans, who are arguably the worst team in the league. So without Evan Neal, this is key for guys along that defensive line, for Aiden Hutchinson, if they want to line up Hutch against the right tackle. And I see this as an advantage for the Lions. Also, I'm hearing 20-mile-per-hour winds. It always seems to be windy there at MetLife, regardless, or back in the day, Giant Stadium. But a windy affair, road team. Lions like to run the ball. Giants have a question mark at quarterback. I don't think there's any question about it. Daniel Jones has thrived and done well this year, again, in a very conservative offense. But I think the Lions can be right there Sunday. And I know they've won 2 in a row. I know it's not in their nature to win 3 in a row. We're not expecting it. But they're only 3-point underdogs for a reason. They match up pretty well with this Giants team. They're going to have to block Kayvon Thibodeau, who is going to be motivated and has gotten better each week, to show Brad Holmes that he should have drafted him over Aiden Hutchinson. But I kind of like this matchup, and you got to be hopeful Jack Fox with the wind can be a weapon that Dan Campbell utilizes, and you have to hope that the money badger, Michael Badgley, continues to kick the football pretty well. We haven't questioned Brad Holmes in a few weeks now on the kicking situation. It's improved with Michael Badgley. What about injuries, and what about DeAndre Swift? We're going to talk about that coming up next. Locked On Lions today, brought to you by our friends at Tommy John. Getting stuck in Black Friday crowds, super uncomfortable. Shopping Tommy John's Black Friday sale from your couch, super duper comfortable. When you give your loved ones Tommy John underwear, they're much more comfortable, so they can do everything better. Shop Tommy John's Black Friday sale right now and give the gift of comfort to everyone on your list, including yourself, with brand new Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas. With over 18 million pairs sold, giving Tommy John has become a holiday tradition. 97% of women and men love getting a gift from Tommy John. That's why Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. Shop Tommy John's Black Friday sale going on right now and get 30% off site-wide at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. 30% off everything now at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. TommyJohn.com/lockedon. See site for details. Our little Friday edition of Locked On Lions. We will have a postcast coming up on Sunday. I'll be heading over to the executive producer's brother's house and hanging with my my Lions family, as I like to call them, the Litkeys, this weekend. And then we will do a postcast via video coming up on Sunday following the Lions and the Giants. Injury concern. And this is something that Dan Campbell said this morning. And this bothers me for sure because I had high hopes that he would be back this weekend. But we had a good news, bad news scenario. Charles Harris re-aggravated a hamstring injury in practice this week. And it sounds like he's not going to play Sunday. Charles Harris a year ago was the most pleasant surprise along the Lions defense and really along the Lions defensive line. 7.5 sacks. He got rewarded this offseason with a brand new 2-year, $16 million contract, and he was going to be the man opposite of Aiden Hutchinson to rush the quarterback, and the Lions were going to have some bookend edge guys that could be able to perform. If you've noticed over the last few weeks, you really haven't seen or heard from Charles Harris. He's played, he's got some snaps, but he's not 100%. And he re-aggravated the hamstring this week in practice, Dan Campbell said. So I would not expect him to play Sunday against the Giants. Now, does that mean that Michael Brockers comes back and is activated? I don't know. Austin Bryant maybe has been a healthy scratch. Of course, AB, as he was called a lot on Hard Knocks, had a terrific training camp, but he's been persona non grata. Daniel Jones is the type of guy that you can rattle. And the Lions need to find somewhere to get some pass rush. I don't know if we're going to see Pascal more on the outside, Kaminsky, whatever it is, some guys blitzing. Daniel Jones can run. There's no question about it. He's not Justin Fields. But, getting in the face of Daniel Jones and forcing him to make a poor throw in that wind on Sunday is going to be a key, a big key. But they're probably going to have to do it without Charles Harris. Good news. So Harris out with this hamstring and groin, but good news is Frank Ragnow back at practice today. Dan Campbell said today he is optimistic. Ragnow missed the first couple of games due to an injury. And hold on, I'm going to get you the injury report as we speak live here. All right, Charles Harris, how about this? Charles Harris groin is officially out. Josh Pascal, knee, officially out. Oh, geez. Deshaun Elliott coming back from that concussion last week, questionable. Frank Ragnow, foot, questionable, but he did practice today. Josh Reynolds, who's missed the last couple of games with a back injury, questionable. And Malcolm Rodriguez, elbow, questionable. So there you go. No Pascal and no Harris Sunday for the Lions. Ouch. That means we're definitely going to see Austin Bryant. I would think we're going to see Michael Brockers. Not good. Not good. But, Charles Harris, this groin has been bad. Oh, by the way, Trinity Benson placed on injured reserve with a knee injury. The circus after one game back, Trinity Benson. But the good news is that I think they're going to get Frank Ragnow back, and he is as valuable as there is a player along that offensive line. So that is good news. I like the Lions this week. I do. I think the Lions have a good shot. All right, I referenced before, betonline.net. They've moved the line from the Giants being 3.5-point favorites down to 3. And betonline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. We've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you're going to find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. You want to put money down tonight on the Pistons at the Lakers? Get all the info at betonline.net. That'll get you ready for the game tonight. Pistons actually played pretty well last night against the Clippers, but fell short. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so not on the injury report today is DeAndre Swift, who has been bothered by ankle and shoulder injuries the entire year. And yesterday down at 222 RWD, Dave Burkett caught up with DeAndre Swift after practice and was asking him about the injuries and his snap counts and everything else. And Swift is saying all of the right things in terms of, hey, of course I want to play more, but DeAndre was kind of saying something about how He's not 100% and likely wouldn't be 100% until the offseason. And then he probably, the shoulder's been bad at times. The ankle's been bad at times. But anytime he's out on the field, he wants to fight through it, etc. And if you watched Hard Knocks, and we all watched it, back in August, DeAndre Swift was, I'm saying he was the whipping boy of the coaching staff, but you could tell that Deuce Staley especially got on him a lot. And there was that one scene, I don't know if it was the first episode or the second one, when Staley was basically telling him, like, you could be great. You could be great. And they showed, there was an example of that first preseason game where Swift could have cut up field and could have lowered his shoulder, but instead went out of bounds. Or he didn't, he went a certain way, and Staley was all over him. Today, Deuce Staley was asked about Jamal Williams, all right, who plays more than DeAndre Swift. And I've got a couple of people inside the building that have told me there's a reason Jamal Williams plays more than DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams is in the better graces and the good graces of the coaching staff more than Swift, and Williams is more reliable. And today, Deuce Staley said about Jamal Williams, quote, he's our leader, not just offensively, he's our team leader. So, I love Jamal Williams. Who doesn't like Jamal Williams? But I got a little secret for you. DeAndre Swift is the better football player. More explosive, was supposed to help carry this offense. A guy that people were saying could be a fantasy first round, what was a fantasy first round pick. Maybe when I was doing my Pro Bowl list, Dery, you should have put DeAndre on there. And yet, DeAndre Swift, who said the other day to Dave Burkett, I'm not injury prone, he is always hurt. He is. He's been hurt a lot since he's been here. As a second round jinx, player. Here's Deuce Staley, who has publicly called out DeAndre Swift, whether it's been Hard Knocks, whether it's been press conferences. We need more. He's got to be tougher. He's got to learn to play through pain. Are you hurt or are you injured? Here's Deuce Staley talking about Swift's basically backup. Jamal Williams, quote, he's our leader, not just offensively, he's our team leader, end quote. I'm going to put the BetOnline thing up here. That's probably not a good thing. Like you want team leaders, no matter if they're the 53rd guy or the first guy. And I think you also want your quarterback to be one of your leaders. But the way that the Lions talk about Jamal Williams and the way that Deuce Staley talks about Jamal Williams and Dan Campbell talks about Jamal Williams, what does that say about DeAndre Swift? Not taking anything away from the Swift talent. And we talked about the other day, if you watch the film, the throwback screen to Swift Sunday in Chicago where he cut it up and went middle of the field instead of following his blockers, probably could have scored. And he made a pretty bad mental mistake by doing what he did. Maybe this coaching staff is ready to give Jamal Williams another contract next year and make him their number one guy because they love him and he's reliable and he's always out there, which is the exact opposite of the guy that's ahead of him on the depth chart in DeAndre Swift. And Sunday, wind, physical, Giants, Lions, this could be a Jamal Williams game where he gets more touches, more carries, and the offense and Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and everybody feels more, I think they feel safer. I think they feel more comfortable if number 30 is on the field as opposed to number 32. What does that say about DeAndre Swift? Because, again, DeAndre Swift can do it all. Can catch the ball in the backfield. Not that Williams can't do anything. But Swift is faster, shiftier, more talented, more feared by defenses than sort of the straight line power guy in Jamal Williams. Yet, here's Deuce Staley again, calling him the leader of the, not just the offense, but the leader of the entire team. Well, what about DeAndre Swift? You know? Swift told Eric Woodyard from ESPN today that his best football is definitely ahead of him this year. Quote, kind of pushing through right now, still dealing with some stuff, but at the end of the day, it's about winning, making sure I'm out there doing my job whenever my number's called. All right, so saying all of the right things. But yet, there's no coaches saying DeAndre Swift's our leader. They're calling Jamal Williams the guy. I'm going to be very interested, and I'm going to watch very closely snap counts on Sunday. And I think there's going to be some times, and maybe I'll tweet it out during the game at Dery Speaks, where it's like, where's Swift? How come Williams is on the field? How come Justin Jackson is on the field? Is Swift injured? Is Swift hurt? Are they just benching him? Do they want more Jamal Williams? Because basically Jamal's had taken more snaps of the past few weeks than DeAndre Swift, and when Swift has come back from injury. If you had to gamble or bet on it right now on who is going to be back next year in that backfield, I think most of you would probably say, yeah, they're probably going to re-sign Williams. Would they trade Swift? What would they do with him? Because he is so talented and because he does tease you at times with his home run threat ability. Yet, he keeps saying, I'm not 100%. I'm trying. I'll do whatever my number's called. I think the staff wants him to say, put me out there. To almost go up to Ben Johnson on the sideline, tap him on the shoulder and say, get me out there. And he doesn't do it. Something to keep an eye on for Sunday. All right, this has been your Friday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen, everybody. Go Lions. Let's get a win on Sunday. We'll talk about it again on the postcast Sunday afternoon.